Well, hello and welcome to a book launch live cast. As you can see, I have a very special guest here with me today, and we're going to get into her new book in just a second. My name is Everett O'Keefe. I'm the founder of Ignite Press, and it is my joy. It's one of my great joys is to introduce new authors to the world. And if you are working on a book and want to have a conversation about it, just go to our website at ignitepress.us and we can have that conversation. That's at ignitepress.us. Well, today I have Marianne Gramick here with me, and she is the author of the brand new book, The Howl of the Whisperer. Calm your inner critic, discover your strengths, and give voice to the authentic you. Marianne, it is great to see you. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. It's great to see you, Everett. It's an exciting day for me.
Isn't this a crazy thing? I mean, how long have you thought about writing a book?
Since I was a child.
Since you were a child. Okay, were you a voracious? Were you one of the kids that read a lot when you were a kid?
Yes, I was raised in the head of a holler in Eastern Kentucky, and that's how you say it. And our mother was kind of an undocumented genius and had a library in our home. And when other kids were out, I guess, riding their bikes, we spent a lot of time reading the encyclopedia and first edition books that they had of everything from politics to nature to cooking to great fiction. And so my brother and I were raised with a love of books and also the requirement to do recitation quite frequently of. So Hiawatha was, I believe, the first one that I learned, but don't ask me to
From
recite.
memory then.
Yes, yes, from the shores of Gichigumi.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow, that's fantastic. Honestly, that's a tradition that's been lost.
you're right.
Absolutely been lost. And I just think about the biblical traditions of memorizing,
Hmm.
books of the Bible. Remember, those people who memorized the entire Torah, and
Hmm.
and here I can't remember two sentences. So
Right.
such an interesting thing. Well, Marianne, I'm so excited about your book, and why don't we do this? You've actually shared a little bit about your background already, but tell us a little bit
Yes.
more about your professional background,
Hmm.
and then we'll dive into your book.
Sure. So, well, currently I'm an executive leadership development coach and professional speaker, but I've had several different iterations to my career path. And that was really about my spouse is a retired Army veteran. And so we moved a lot. So, the large part of my career in the beginning was supporting his career and raising our three children while he was training or off fighting freedom's cause, but did a lot of nonprofit work during that time, a lot of philanthropic charity work, led some nonprofits, worked quite a bit in the anti obscenity and anti sex trafficking world. And so that spent about 9 years in that world. And then came out of that and got more into trying to help fill the void in the leadership space, especially with self leadership and seeing a lot of very capable and competent people that were doubting themselves or having imposter syndrome, really having issues with that inner critic. And so trying to help fill that void. And found that through becoming a certified Gallup Clifton Strengths coach and opening my own firm, which is called Authentica Coaching and Consulting. And I've had my own firm for just over 6 years now.
Wow. Now tell me, like, what kind of people have you worked with? Like, who
Mhm.
are who are you helping?
Yes, well, we've got organizational clients that range from the Kentucky Derby Museum, Heaven Hill Distillery, some universities, Virginia Commonwealth University healthcare systems, real estate agencies, banks, just all types, Baptist healthcare systems, different places, the Kentucky Department of Education, Ohio Valley Educational Cooperative, but a lot of folks in the C-suite level or entrepreneurs, business owners that really want to find really good work-life integration. And my
Mm,
philosophy is that that comes through authenticity, and really knowing who you are at the core and calling the best of that forward. Not about comparing yourself to what someone else is doing, but what gives you the power and edge that works for you.
Well, fantastic. And let's do this. Let's dive into your book. Now, the first question I know some people are going to ask is the Howl of the Whisper. And what is the Howl of the Whisper?
Yes, the Howl of the Whisper was born when I was on a business trip in Washington, D.C. about, goodness, maybe 6 years ago. And I knew I wanted to write a book. I thought it was going to be strictly on leadership, very technical. Um, but I was also at that time coming through dealing with some of my own inner critic issues. And it was just this constant back and forth between the whisper of what I knew I wanted to do, the howl of the inner critic pushing me down, and then that whisper of my authenticity growing more into a howl, and then calming the inner critic down to a whisper. So it got very seesaw. So I started looking into more more books of how I could help with this issue that I was having, about how do I do that effectively. And Everett, I couldn't find anything that really spoke to me. So the thought came, you need to write The Howl of the Whisper. So it just sort of was landed in my lap as the title. And I wrote the book that I could not find for myself because I didn't want to carbon copy someone else. And I say this in the book, we can learn, and I have learned from so many other experts and great authors, but something was missing. And so I took the approach from a purely strength based, authentic place where the reader can customize what they're gathering as they read this book and just apply it personalized to themselves using the tools and concepts throughout the book.
Well, thank you. And it's interesting. I mean, so many great things have come because people couldn't find the thing they needed, right? Whether they invented a tool, or in this case, a book, because they couldn't find it in the market. And it's something I think is really important because we all consume things differently, and we need to hear things from different voices. And sometimes if we don't hear it from that specific voice, we won't hear it at all. And so I appreciate that you've taken the time to do this. Well, let's dive into the book. You, it's kind of interesting because on the one hand, you kind of wrote the book for yourself,
Right.
right? You wrote the book that you needed to read,
Mm-hmm.
um, and in the process of doing that, I mean, obviously you had other people in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and so let's dive in. What are your in as you are talking to people about their inner critic? Where do you begin? Where do you begin working with people
Right.
there?
Well, I like to begin on the positive because, talking about your inner critic and all those negative voices in your head, it's not fun. It's not fun, Everett. I don't know if that's a topic you'd like to dive into, but I would say probably no. So we talk about coming from a standpoint of what was really there first. The inner critic seems to have weaseled its way in pretty early in all of our lives. And I've even been asked before, what if I never find my authentic voice? And like, if you will, because it's not lost. Your inner critic may be loud right now, but it wasn't there first. Authentic you was there first. So with my coaching clients, and then even when I'm speaking to audiences, we talk about when you think back to your earliest times of being happy, what did that look like? What were you doing? What was going on? What was the time in your life when you were just happy to be alive and joyful? And so we start at that point, and that sort of opens up the space. You can see the person actually start to smile and speak with more confidence. Um, and then we start to get into the part that can be a little more touchy. When did that start to fall off? What happened? Because, we all know those people that seem to live life with joyful abandon. They are marching to the beat of their own drum. And while they can get labeled as being kind of like weird or, gee, look at them, there's something inside us that's a little jealous because we don't do that. We're held back for some reason. So we talk about some of those things too, and we talk about those in the book.
Well, and I love it. The You talk about the safety of staying silent. You talk about finding your voice in your story. You talk about
Mm-hmm.
acquired silence,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure impacts so many
Yes.
of us. Now let's move to strengths.
Mm-hmm.
You're huge on strengths.
Yes.
This is your superpower. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of your strengths. Um, so let's talk about seeing your strengths clearly, and specifically, you talk about looking through the looking glass and also being stronger than you know.
Yes, absolutely. So we seem to always be, and it's a tactic of the inner critic to be comparing ourselves to everyone else. And I really want people to take more of a laser focus on what is strong about them. Where's their power and edge? We've been told that we need to be well rounded in all things, and that's really just a recipe for mediocrity. To really call yourself forward in all the ways that you want to show up, you need to know how are you naturally created and wired to be. And it's not with strengths. I love that. And I've taken all the different personality assessments. And what I liked about strengths is that it wasn't a personality quiz or assessment, it was a talent assessment. So it wasn't if you have this combination, you will be successful. It is with the combination you are naturally imbued with, how will you be successful if you really leaned into that? So it's not about weakness fixing, it's about what's taking right with you and putting the lens on that. And that is where people really start to get the power and edge, to have the confidence to calm that inner critic and to move forward. And you still have to tackle tough things. I mean, I am never going to be a math whiz, ever, ever, ever. But in running a business, I do have to deal with numbers. I was on a call with my CFO this morning, and I have to lean into my top strengths to really focus on the part of that that I have to show up for. It's not my favorite thing, but I'm not going to bemoan the fact that I don't have really high analytical strengths and those kind of things with the number crunchers. I value people who do. So I'm going to take what I do have, my high relator, my high intellection, my high responsibility, and put those together so that I could focus in on those tasks and get good traction and high performance.
So it's interesting because I've seen these two competing trends in the last 10 years, and I'm sure it's been a whole lot longer than that, but of play to your strengths versus fill in your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think I know where you sit on this, but which is more valuable? Where really should we go?
Right. Well, it's important to remember that your greatest strength can also be your biggest weakness. Because if it is misapplied or misused or undercommunicated or overcommunicated, it can um, really get in your way. So to understand that we can't be strong in everything. There are areas, but to see those differences in us and other people as advantages and kind of come along and partner with that and see it as a multiplier instead of something you're lacking, is the way to look at it. So I will always lean in on the side of strengths, but strengths with accountability. Strengths is rooted in positive psychology, and Gallup's Clifton Strengths is all about that, with a very important distinction of making sure that the individual is in a place of high self leadership, so that when things around them aren't going well, people around them may be in kind of a lower vibration of their strengths. They are responsible and accountable to stay elevated and try to bring the best of them forward, to always lead with positive intent, and keep moving things forward in a positive way. Doesn't mean that you don't have to make tough decisions, tough calls, deal with negative situations, but it should always be in a way that isn't demeaning or demoralizing to anyone or anything, even if it's hard. To just stay in a place where you are authentic to your values in everything you do. And that's not always easy.
Well, and you talked about and not over communicating, and I'm curious about that. What do you
Hmm.
mean by not over communicating your strengths?
Yes. Well, if you have a strength, say that my number two strength is intellection, and that's someone that likes to think about ideas and can process at a high capacity and pace. And if I overuse that strength, I can leave everyone around me in the dust because I'm pretty well at figuring out patterns and ideas and thoughts. And I want to think about that. And another thought can trigger another thought. And I could stay stuck in that spiral if I overuse it. And if I'm over communicating in my intellection, I'm just talking and talking and not giving room for anyone else's perspective. If I'm underutilizing it, then I'm in a position to where I'm just have all this knowledge and these great ideas, but I'm going to be very manipulative and calculating about how to use it so that we're in the big meeting with the big boss, Everett. I'm not going to share that with you so we could make it a really great team thing. I'm going to just make sure that it's me, 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 me. So to use it well, it's other focused. And to use it, in a weak way is to have it just me focused. And strengths are always meant to be used in relationship with a focus towards service.
Okay. That makes great sense. And I also gathered uh, from what you were saying is that if we are like some people probably overplay their gift and use that as a reason to not engage in other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the creative person here. I'm creative. Don't bother me with those other things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like that. Is that an example as
That's a
well?
perfect example. And I have a personal example. My coaching partner, Sarah Harvey, hey Sarah, if you're watching, is on the West Coast in Carlsbad, not far from you. And she was a COO in one of her former jobs. And so numbers and all of those things we do for the business she gets, it doesn't intimidate her at all. Um, and I was having a hard time understanding something, was trying to just shove it off on her because this, and she just sort of coached me up in the moment and said, I don't care if this is uncomfortable for you. You are going to lean into your strengths. You can do this, because I was letting my own inner critic get in the way. So I definitely was underusing what I had at my disposal to do the work that I needed to do. And I wanted to just shovel it off, but she knew that wasn't going to serve me well. I needed to have a better grasp of it. Um, a lot of inner critic work for myself has been happening over the last couple of years. If you want to fire up your inner critic, Everett, just have a business, a speaking and author business around the inner critic. And they are, my inner critic's name is Patsy, and Patsy has been like challenge accepted.
Wow. Okay, so now you have you have a section in your book called "Know Thy Enemy."
Yes.
Um, Tell us what you mean by "know thy enemy."
Well, know thy enemy is that while we start at the beginning, we really don't want to talk about the inner critic and all of the ugly ways that it shows up internally in us, which can make us be, less than pleasant on the outside. You really have to dig down and figure out, where is it that it has found its core place to root? Why does it make me want to procrastinate? What's that about? Why does it want to make me control situations? Why am I such a people pleaser? Why am I overthinking everything, overanalyzing everything? So to go face to face and toe to toe with it and really peel back that onion, the layers of that onion, there's definitely going to be maybe a few little moments and maybe even some tears, but that's how you take away its power. Because on the flip side of that is your power and edge. Your real strengths lie in that. It's just helping you to kind of move in a way that's a lower vibration. So to know what you're dealing with inside yourself, face it, not beat yourself up about it, but learn how to manage it and move forward.
Well, thank you, and uh, I think it's insightful. I also wanted to get to even in we limit in the limited time we have available. You also talk about in your book about self leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your four cornerstones of self leadership: discovery and understanding, accountability, growth, and agility. Can you take
Yes.
some time to walk us through those?
Sure. Yes. So just discovery and understanding, back to kind of, knowing yourself holistically and just understanding what are my strengths, how can they propel me forward, how can they kind of trip me up in a judgment free zone. Just discovering um, who you are, what you're about, understanding the value that you bring to the table, and not that you just deserve to be at the table. You're needed at the table, and you need to understand what gifts you bring. With the accountability, that's to, now that you get that discovery and understanding, you're accountable to use it in ways that are positive and meaningful and helpful. And when you start to get sidetracked, you're accountable. It's good to have an accountability partner to kind of say, yeah, in that last meeting you were in, I'm not sure you came across the way you thought you did. So to be open to some feedback. And then growth, to constantly be learning about, these are the areas where I need to grow. I am getting good traction here, but over here I'm still struggling. What is that resistance to that growth? And then making sure that it's all aligned with your values. And when you get those three kind of solid, it makes it so much easier for number 4, where when something, life throws something at you, you've got the foundation now when you have to be agile and pivot, the overused word from COVID, pivot, realign to the situation. You are able to do that with much more clarity and efficacy because you've got that foundation set, and it's under the backdrop always of your authentic self, not what someone else wants you to do, not what you feel society, religion, your family, your friend group pressuring you to do. What feels authentic to you and in alignment with the person you want to be on this planet. And if having some agility to kind of move in a different direction still stays in alignment with that, wonderful. If it doesn't, the agile move you may be making, we always think about agility as moving forward. You can go in reverse also and step back away to get out of that energy that's not good, because there is probably something just around the corner that is much better. And that ability to move is going to put you in a good space to receive.
Okay, excellent. Um, let's see what we can do here. Um, Sorry about that. I'm trying to do two things at one time. Um, so Marianne, we have the joy of finding you outside. The challenge is the sun has moved
Oh,
while we started talking.
let me
And
see
so if you
what I can
can
do.
move your laptop a
Let
little
me see
bit.
here. Is that helpful?
Oh, that's terrific. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. It is the joys of being in a
Nature.
natural setting. I like I said, I wish I was outside sitting on that deck there with you. So fantastic. Now, I want to tell everybody that the Howl of the Whisper is available on Amazon today, where you can get it in paperback and in Kindle. The Kindle's on a special launch price of 99 cents. And that won't be there forever. That'll just be there for a little while. So take advantage of that launch price. Also, I would tell you this is a great book to pick up for somebody as a gift. It is one of these things where you have the potential to literally change someone's life through it. Now, Christmas is coming up. So I have that as my recommended Christmas gift for you. So, Marianne, we have a few minutes left, and let me unpin me here. We have a few minutes left, and what would be, you know, there are a couple places I'd love to go. So I'm going to give you two questions, and you just pick, okay, or two situations you pick.
Okay.
One is either a story about a client you've helped through this process. You don't have to use names. That would be great. Or what you're hoping, like if a reader were to write you a letter in the future about your book, telling you about how their book impacted their life, what would you want to see to read in that letter? So there you go. I give you two. They're not,
Right.
neither of them are easy questions, but I let you pick the one you want.
Well, the first one's really easy, and that is the client that I would probably pick is who wrote the foreword in the book. And she was very transparent in how our work together helped her. So she's the senior executive vice president for the Kentucky Derby Museum. And so everybody can read about that transformation. So the second question, to go in just a little more detail, would be anyone who's picking up this book and reading it. I want you to see what's absolutely possible when all the resistance you felt about being your authentic self is because there's something so great inside of you that wants out. It wants to propel you forward to serve in a way that only you can serve. I believe, and I wrote this book because I believe the words inside of it will help you find that. And if you've already found it and have been reticent about sharing it, that you'll have the courage to find it and share it. And so I would love to receive responses like that. I found it and I'm using it. I'm not turning back. I'm going to live my life with fearless authenticity. And it's not always easy. I have a saying, fearless authenticity is always worth it, but it's not always easy. But you can calm your inner critic. Discovering your strengths is the way to do it. And there's no other way that I can describe except it is phenomenal to live your life when it's from a place of what is authentic to you, and to know that that's what you're supposed to be doing, because otherwise you wouldn't have been created. The way that you feel at your core, you're supposed to be showing up.
I think we need to end there because you said it so eloquently. And Marianne, it's clear that you are indeed also a professional speaker in addition to now being a professional author. Congratulations.
I'm so excited, Everett. You and the team have been amazing. I could not have done this without you all.
Thank you. Well, we couldn't have done it without you. We wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have anything wonderful to publish, So, but Marianne, thank you so much for working with us, trusting us with your baby as well, because it is your baby. But congratulations again. Now your message is out into the world in an entirely different way, and we'll be excited to see how lives are changed going forward. So with that in mind, we're going to sign off here. And congratulations again, Marianne.
Thank you so much.
All right.